What's cracking, everybody? Rose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle content. In today's video, we are going to be looking at Dragonite with Superpower and the team that took me to Veteran and beyond. I love this team. I'm not going to lie. I built Gurdurr for Celestial Factions, but I found the Dragonite and the other dragons in this meta course so well with Lapras in the lead, and I put Lapras in the lead because everybody wanted to run their Dragonites in the lead, and I said, no, I'm putting Dragonite in the back and Lapras in the front, make you afraid of it. So this team did take me to Veteran, and it was shared with my Patreon group. So real quick shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for all that you've done, all the support, and just the wonderful community we've got going on. If you want to join that Patreon Discord, by the way, and get access to these teams before I put them on YouTube and any of the tips and tricks and all the other fun stuff that I can come up with for GBL and PvP in general, there's a link in the description for you to check that out, as well as Medify, where I offer coaching in many different kinds of forms. So just please check it out if you're interested. If you have any questions, you can always hit me up, just in the comments or wherever you find it. But let's check these battles out. I'm not going to let this drag on for too long here, but Lapras in the lead versus Empoleon. This is rough. Empoleon is actually really good against his team, but also kind of mid because Dragonite has that superpower now. So I safe swap into my Gurdurr to try and draw out a potential counter to my dragons, and my opponent swaps in a Kingdra, and I'm immediately expecting this to be possibly Empoleon Double Dragon. I am not able to get to the move, but I don't think that this is going to be an outrage, so I let this go. No, I shield the Octazooka. I was thinking about it for a minute, but just to be safe and keep switch, I shield, because I would rather not have my I would really rather not have my Lapras up against the Empoleon if I can help it, because I'm only single resisting their damage, they're double resisting mine. So I'm going to throw this Power Whip into the Empoleon and try and chip it. My opponent decides to shield it, which is really important for me, because now if I can find a situation where Dragonite has basically two superpowers against this thing, that is going to allow me to just take it off the face of the planet. Now, once again, I am expecting them to have the Dragonite in the back here, so I'm going to whittle this thing down, this Empoleon, and I know that if I come into that matchup in the back with a shield advantage or an energy advantage, I can win. So I'm going to play this out. I'm going to Skull Bash this Empoleon, and I know that because they have the Dragonite in the back, they're not going to swap it in right now. So I'm going to go for the Skull Bash here. I do CMP tie with my opponent, unfortunate. I'm still saving my shield for Dragonite no matter what here. They're going to throw the Hydro Cannon, which was a really weird call to me. Throw Drill Peck into your opponent's water types. It actually does more damage. So I hit him with that, and I do swap out despite getting the buff because I want to get ahead on energy. I'm totally expecting the Dragonite, and they come in with the Dragonite, but it's got Dragon Tail, which means that it's going to be able to out-damage my Dragonite, and so I'm only going to be able to get one Dragon Claw off here, I believe, and then that's it. So I'm going to now save the shield for my Lapras. This thing is now within probably range of one Ice Shard taking it out. Let's find out. This superpower is going to go it's going to be blocked. My opponent's defense goes down. Their Dragonite hits the ground, and now my Lapras outpaces the Empoleon to this next charge move, and that is a good game. Very close game, but a good game nonetheless. So coming up next, we're getting close. We got some veterans that we're playing against now. We got Snorlax on the lead, Shadow Snorlax. So this, I like to just safe swap immediately into Gurdurr to try and draw out that Charmer that they've probably got hiding back there. My opponent decides to stay in for a long time, throw a Body Slam at me before swapping out. I don't need to shield this, so I decide not to, thinking that they're probably trying to get a shield so they can win switch against me. So I am going to go and against their Dragonite, I'm going to throw this Muddy Water. I want them to fear the Draco Meteor. And they do. They shield it. That's great. That's all I wanted. I don't get the next move, but I got a shield off of them, which is great. And now I can basically one shield farm this down, because once they superpower, essentially I think that's going to be within range for me to be able to take it out. So they do throw the superpower, realizing they're probably not going to get the two, and Lapras will farm down. And now Lapras has a bunch of energy, and the Snorlax has none, which is a really advantageous situation, because now depending on what comes in, I can try to counter it. They come back in with the Snorlax. I am probably going to go for Surfs here. Nope, I go straight for the Skull Bash. I want to know that my defense is heightened, and that's fine, because Skull Bash is something that the opponent may not expect me to throw here, and they don't, so I'm going to get the defense boost, and then I'm going to swap out. I know I just boosted my defense, but I did enough damage, and I was trying to catch a superpower here. And I caught the superpower. That's so good. And then they have a Kingdra. And unfortunately, I am not going to be able to get the two Dragon Claws against this Kingdra, so Lapras is just going to have to put in all the work it can. The Dragon Claw is going to get a shield here, and then I know that this opponent is going to have probably close to an Outrage by the time we get here. So I need to call this. Is an Outrage or is it an Octazooka? I call the Octazooka bait. I was terrified, but now they got the attack debuff on me, and that is not good. Now I essentially have to go for the Skull Bash in order to take out the Kingdra, because it double resists the surf damage, and I am in a very strange spot here. I have a shield. If my opponent had gone for the Outrage, they would have won the game. I essentially just use this one shield to make sure I get to the surf. Kill the Snorlax. Easy peasy. I don't know if the opponent thought they weren't going to get to the Outrage in time. Maybe they panicked into their energy, but worked out for me, thankfully. Good game, though. That was close. So we got this next game against Wei. This is actually one of my Twitter followers. Shout-outs to him. Cool dude to interact with on Twitter. Has Toxicroak in the lead. This is terrible, and I need to get out immediately. They come in with a Lapras, and I'm like, man, you couldn't hard counter me harder if you tried. But I am going to be able to get to this Power Whip before he gets to a Skull Bash or Ice Beam. So, or I should say, they properly. Gets the shield from the Lapras, which is huge. At this point, I can just let my Goodra go down if the opponent decides to throw the charge move, and it's probably just a Surf. So if it is a Surf and I live, which I don't, I was going to try to go for a Muddy Water right before I went down, but now I only have a choice to come in with my own Lapras, and I basically have to go for Skull Bash here if I want to take this thing out. But I shield a potential Skull Bash from this Pokemon, and the Skull Bash would do a ton of damage. It is a Shadow Lapras, and I mean, I don't know how much damage Surf does against a Shadow Lapras, but I'm going to find out. And that was probably a mistake on my part. I probably should have just said screw it and go for the Skull Bash. But now I know how much damage that Surf does. My opponent is over farming here, and this is definitely a Skull Bash. I'm going to have to let this one go. I can't spend my other shield on my Lapras right now when I still have Dragonite in the back, and knowing that they have a Toxicroak, I do need to at least save some sort of a shield for that. So I'm going to go for the Surf here. At least I know from here it KOs the Lapras, and I'm going to have some extra energy stored for whatever comes in next. Could be the Toxicroak, most likely, and it is indeed the Toxicroak. So I'm going to throw the Surf in order to chip it down, and then I'm going to come in with my Dragonite, hoping that they don't have another Ice type in the back. Dragonite's going to come in, and they have a Licky. That is pretty spicy here in the Ultra League Premier Cup. I don't see a ton of those. I'm going to let them throw the charge move here, and since I haven't superpowered yet, I'm going to let it go. It is just a Body Slam. It didn't go for a Shadow Ball. I didn't have enough energy for that. I am going to go for the double Superpower here. Is going to be almost enough to knock out. I don't even know how much damage Superpower does to Licky from a non-Shadow Dragonite, so does almost enough, but they're able to get to a move, and because my Lapras is not the thing that I need to take out this Toxicroak with, I'm going to shield up the Body Slam, knowing that I have almost 2 Dragon Claws loaded. I'm going to try to get the shield with one of them, and if I can, maybe try to catch a move. I'm trying to keep track of my opponent's energy, but it's been in and out so many times it's kind of hard to remember, so I am going to try to catch a move here, and I do, but I don't do it in the timing that I thought I was going to, but it's fine because my opponent does let this go. They do throw the energy, and now Dragonite just gets the Dragon Claw, and that is going to seal the game. Now, I could have let the opponent get to the charge move here, and I would have only been 1 move away with the Lapras, so thankfully I would have had a win either way, but that was a super close game. Very well played. Next up, we've got Lapras against the Snorlax, another neutral lead. I don't like to play this because I don't want to have to be threatened by superpowers, so I just dip to Goodra and see if I can get them to come in with a Walrein or something. Not that they should have a Walrein and a... I don't know, that doesn't make any sense if they have Snorlax lead Walrein. They're just asking to get countered. But anyway, Gyarados comes in and almost gets KO'd by that Power Whip. That was a lot of damage. I have to let this go. And thankfully, Goodra is so bulky that Crunch doesn't even take it out. Able to win switch here. And that means I'm going to be able to get my Dragonite, which is the preferred thing to have on the Snorlax. That means that whatever they're going to come in with next, I'm going to be able to find out if they want to deal with my Goodra or not. And Snorlax comes in to farm down. And now I'm going to be able to farm up energy. I don't need to shield anything because if it's just a superpower or a Body Slam, doesn't matter. Don't need to shield anything here. Body Slam comes through, does a reasonable amount of damage here. But I'm going to go... I have to shield this up. I have 2 shields still. It's fine. I'm trying to overfarm, trying to see if my opponent tries to catch a move because they seem to like doing that. I mean, I like catching moves too, but I'm going to get up to 2 Dragon Claws and I'm going to throw them. I want to waste the Snorlax or both of its shields if I can. And then I'm really hoping that because they have... Okay, because they have Snorlax in the lead, they were weak to Lapras in the back, but they really weren't. Opponent has Glade in the back, which is actually going to be really threatening for my Lapras. So I swap out and store a move here. I know that my opponent basically has to lessen their defense by using a close combat or throw like 2 or 3 Leaf Blades in order to take out my Lapras. So using the bulk and saving the shield for the Dragonite at the end is a very solid way to win this game here. They did shield up the Surf, so I just need to get to another Surf, and I'm going to let this go. And the reason why is because they have to throw close combat here to take me out. Never mind, I'm shielding. Should have probably just let that go. I was expecting close combat anyway. I thought they were double close combat, so that was my bad. But essentially, now they have to throw another move to take me out, and I don't... Well, okay, they're at another move. All right, I should just stop talking and let you watch the battle anyway. But because my Dragonite has the move loaded... Actually, no, it doesn't. Man, I don't know my own battles. All right, we just Dragon Breath down if they double drop their defense, and that's fine. Good game. Anyway, this was the set that got me to Veteran. So this is real quick, just, you know, the Veteran claim. If I ever press the checkmark button, come on, old me, do it. So this team got me to Veteran, which is, you know, huge because I've been playing it kind of slow this season. I haven't really been trying to, you know, climb like every day. I've been taking days off, and then the games that I do play, mauled my rear end off. My wife wants to strangle me for it half the time, but. So this person's got a Dragonite in the lead. This is exactly what Lapras is here to do, and the fact that they're not swapping out means that they are not happy to see this because they don't have an out to it. And I'm wondering what they could possibly have in the back that they would pair with a Dragonite that doesn't want to deal with an Ice type. Like, you would think that when you're building a team, Ice is probably one of the first things that you would cover in the back with a Lapras or with a Dragonite. So I'm curious to see what they do. They just let me farm it down here. But I do snipe with my Dragonite, expecting them to get to a move, and they come in with a Nidoqueen. That's why, because they have Nidoqueen in the back. Well, if you're not going to respect Walrein or Lapras, then I'm going to show you why you should. So, going to eat the Poison Fang, no reason for me to even bother shielding that up. If I want to, I can shield the second one, but my opponent makes a really nice catch on their Trevenant. But I've got Goodra and I've got Lapras in the back, so I'm not really worried about it. So I'm going to get these 2 Dragon Claws off before the Trevenant can take me out, and then they're just going to farm me down, which is what it is. I'm going to have to absorb the energy on Goodra, but I know that my win condition is definitely with Lapras here, especially now that they've wasted their shield. So I'll come in with my Goodra to absorb the energy, and if for some reason they let me live a power with the Nidoqueen, but they are definitely going to Shadow Ball here. Takes a lot of damage, but Goodra is a thick dragon and can tank it. I want them to throw their energy here, so I'm going to try farming them down. I'm forcing them to throw their energy here. Lapras is going to get 1 Ice Shard off on this Trevenant. I'm saving my shield. Never mind, no I'm not. I guess instead my plan here was to put the Muddy Waters onto the Nidoqueen instead, because I knew that Lapras was going to have enough. It just needs to get to a Surf. It's easily able to get there, but I'm able to get to 2 Muddy Waters before the opponent is able to take out my Goodra, so just kind of showcasing Goodra as just such a really solid safe swap in the back. Even though I didn't use it as a safe swap, super bulky dragon, even Muddy Waters hurt Nidoqueens. Good. It's good. Walrein lead I have to deal with my Lapras. I don't have a choice here. So I'm either going to win this matchup or soft lose here. Ideally, what ends up happening is I shield an Earthquake right off the bat, because that way I don't end up tanking an Earthquake, but I decide not to shield this one. It's really 50-50. It's really a gut check, to be honest. Like, the Earthquake usually comes first, but there are some players who throw the Icicle Spear because they know that they're going to get a shield, because the Lapras is going to go for Skull Bash. It's a whole mind game, so I'm just like, sometimes I'll do it, sometimes I won't. I shield up the second one because they're more likely to go for it now, especially with my defense being boosted. And usually when Walrein's in the lead, I expect them to have a Trevenant, so I'm already kind of in the camp here that they're not swapping out because their other answer is a Trevenant. So I'm going to Skull Bash, and now they're coming in with the Ampharos, and because Goodra resists electric damage, I'm coming in with Goodra. And I'm going to try to time my moves as good as I can. I want them to fear Power Whip here. I didn't quite build up to it yet, so they probably don't even shield this, which they don't, smartly. Kind of hoping for a debuff. And I wanted to throw right before they got to Dragon Pulse, just in case. I wanted them to basically fear the fact that I could KO them. And they have Zap Cannon. Oh, it hurts, but it doesn't get the debuff, thankfully, and I'm going to be able to get this thing down into a range where I could hit it with a Muddy Water, but they throw their energy, and I know this is just a Thunder Punch. I'm going to let it go, see if Goodra can hang on just long enough to take this thing out, and it does! Goodra out-tanks the Ampharos even after tanking a Zap Cannon, and has energy loaded for the Walrein, and it's going to throw a Power Whip, and Power Whip is going to do super effective damage if the opponent decides not to shield it, and they don't shield it, takes out the Walrein, and now what they've got is a Dragonite, it's Charizard. But between my Lapras and the Dragonite, I know that I can take this out. I'm going to save my shield for the Lapras here, let my opponent hit me with a Dragon Claw. And the lag has been atrocious, by the way. This particular set was where the frame rate lag started. You probably already see it. All the frames being dropped on this set. It's terrible. I hope that they know that this is an issue and they're doing something about it, because it's been terrible. I've seen some extreme cases, people getting like 4 Dragon Breaths before their opponent's Obstagoon gets to a whole Night Slash. Like, it's just terrible. But anyway, going to be able to get this Dragon Claw off against this Charizard. Going to get it close to getting a KO or take it out completely, and we take it out, taking the game. Very well played. Anyway, my rant being over. I just hope it gets fixed soon, because it's unfortunate that it happened during basically my favorite meta. Get a Crobat lead here. Ice Shard is going to be doing super effective damage, so the opponent gets out of there, and I'm going to counter their Obstagoon with my Dragonite. And in hindsight, I played this completely the wrong way. The opponent won't shield unless they think they can win switch, right? Otherwise, you can just go straight for superpower, take it out. I don't do that. I try to build up multiple moves and bait and do all these things wrong. If you want to win switch against the Obstagoon, just go straight for the superpower. Don't even mess around, because now my opponent knows they can commit 2 shields and beat my Dragonite, even if I bait twice. That was my mistake. I should have just gone straight for superpower to win switch, because now what ends up happening is I have to have my Lapras lined up against whatever's in the back, which is probably a Walrein or another fighter, and that's not an ideal situation. But I do get 2 shields, so from this Goon, I'm going to be able to get 2 shields, and I'm going to come in with my Goodra now. However, they have a lot of energy to unload against me, so this is a very dicey situation, and I have to be very careful with the way that I manage my Pokemon at this point. Goodra's going to come in, and it's going to absorb the energy, at least 1 or 2 Night Slashes off of this Goon, and try to farm it down. And then I'm just hoping that Lapras has what it needs to in order to take out the Crobat plus whatever's in the back. If it's a Walrein, I should be okay, because just a couple Skull Bashes will take out a Walrein, and having 2 shields for that will really help. Also, if I have a Walrein, I'll keep my Power Whip banked. So I'm going to take the advantage here. I'm going to come in with my Crobat, and they have a Trevenant. Trevenant's very, very scary. Surf does chip it, but the damage is really coming from the Ice Shards, and because I have 2 shields, essentially what I need to do here is I need to farm this thing down with both of these shields intact and try to get a couple of Surfs or some extra damage off on the Crobat. Now, I could absolutely use the energy that I've got loaded on my Goodra, like the Muddy Waters. Power Whip's not going to do anything, so I will throw the Muddy Waters in this situation. But I essentially just need to farm this thing down. So after doing so and shielding up this second Seed Bomb, I'm going to be able to essentially throw a Surf into this Crobat. Hopefully Ice Shard it the rest of the way down with the health that I have loaded. Even a Shadow Ball shouldn't be able to KO me from here. But it's a very, very close matchup. The Crobat is a Shadow and will still do a ton of damage with a Shadow Ball if it lands. So I'm going to Muddy Water this thing, and I'm going for the attack drops here, and thankfully I get them. And I'm trying my best to time with good timing here so that these Muddy Waters get the debuffs if I need to, and then that way I can guarantee that my Lapras doesn't get taken out. If they even can take it out with their Crobat, which they can't, that's a good game. Goodra just showing off its bulk there. Alright. Next battle. We got Charizard on the lead. This is a pretty good lead for Lapras, I'm not going to lie. It's a pretty decent Pokemon for this whole team to handle, especially because it has Wing Attack, not Dragon Breath. So even the dragons in the back have a reasonable time against it. But I'm going to go for Surf to get an early shield here. Not really sure what's going to be in the back. I assume it's probably going to be an Anti-Water. It could be a Venusaur back there. Could be really just anything that really deals with water types, honestly. Because Charizard has a really good time against most things. I do shield up a potential Blast Burn, and I do shield up the Blast Burn, and they come in with Trevenant. Well, yep, you know, that is a grass type. That is definitely not the grass type I was hoping it was. And I swap in so late with my Dragonite. They could easily just Shadow Ball me here. And they do. Youch! Shadow Ball hurts a lot. But I'm going to be able to get to this Dragon Claw, hopefully, before they're able to get to Seed Bomb and take me out. Or I think I win CMP tie against this thing. Dragonite has a big attack stat, so hopefully. Going to be able to get this thing within just a smidge of HP. Not going to shield this, no point. Lapras can come in and get the farm, and that's fine. I know that the Seed Bomb doesn't do a lot, but it's definitely not worth it, and Lapras is just absolutely loaded on energy. If my opponent has something in the back, they do have to be careful with what they do, and they come in with Gallade. I could have thrown Skull Bash here, but Gallade is so squishy that I could have almost expected them to shield this anyway, because they might be a Skull Bash, and they don't. But I have so much energy that I think it's more worth it to throw the Surfs. Now I'm going to go for the Skull Bash. Maybe they think, okay, I can survive a Surf. Why would they want to throw Skull Bash here? Boom! Takes out Gallade, and now I have Charizard with a boosted defense, Lapras, and a Goodra in the back. This is basically a good game at this point. There's nothing that my opponent can do to outdamage my my Lapras. My Lapras doesn't live, unfortunately, so Goodra's going to have to do it in one shield, and I think with one shield it can probably take out this Charizard. I can tank a Dragon Claw very comfortably here. And there is, I mean, they have to get to 3. There's nothing that they can do, and they quit. So, top left, good game. Very well played. All right, we got Alolan Muck in the lead here. And this is a very neutral matchup. In hindsight, usually going to be better for me to just kind of swap out, try to draw out something in the back, because honestly, this is not a good situation. Acid Spray, I do correctly call the Acid Spray and then swap out. That was kind of my hope, was like they were going to throw the Acid Spray. After I got the defense drop, I would swap out and then come in with my Goodra after getting a bunch of energy on my Lapras. They throw the Dark Pulse here. I was hoping they would just throw the Acid Spray. But here comes the Trevenant, and this is not an ideal situation for Goodra because it's not doing much damage other than its Dragon Breath. And honestly, these Muddy Waters don't do much, so I'm just hoping to get some chip damage at this point. Maybe the Power Whip would just be the way to go here, but just gotta throw Muddy Waters and hope for the best. Maybe I can get the attack drop and my Lapras can just farm down the tree afterwards. So we're just going to kind of see what's going to happen here. But just playing the rest of this out here. Goodra's going to take a Seed Bomb, going to go down. I'm fine with that. Lapras is going to come in and throw. I was going to try and throw the Surf immediately to try and force them to pay for not throwing their move right away, but they do throw the Shadow Ball immediately, and I should have just gone for the Ice Shard. Don't know why I decided to throw there. Probably thought they weren't at a move and I was trying to prevent them from getting to one, but it is what it is. So Ice Shard is going to come through, take out their Trevenant, and now I'm going to have to deal with the Muck and whatever's in the back. And they've got him a Champ in the back. So this is pretty much over. I got a shield disadvantage. There's no way that I'm going to be able to beat this thing. I come in with my Dragonite. My only hope here is that they try to bait me with a Cross Chop, and I don't call the bait. I call the bait, tried to, they take me out, and then I'm going to top left here. And I'm pretty sure I don't win this. Yep, and I hate ending a battle on a loss, but you know what? That snapped a 9-win streak with this team, and I'd say overall it did pretty good. So despite the loss at the end there, I love this team. It does so well. It's very consistent. Again, Lapras and Dragonite course so well together. It's actually kind of nuts. And I hope you guys enjoyed these battles. Let me know in the comments how your Ultra League Premier Cup is going, and I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.